all three of these things interact with one another. As you saw, we can create monthly recurring revenue and turn that into a bolt-on business. We can have a bolt-on business that becomes monthly recurring revenue. All of these things interact, and together they will multiply your revenue and your growth. So the first thing I want to talk about is 5, and that is MRR. So MRR stands for monthly recurring revenue, which is a fancy investment banker way of saying continuity income, okay? Just money that's going to keep coming again and again. And the first insight about MRR that I had was in a meeting. We were doing an A round looking for some initial funding for one of our companies in Silicon Valley, and met with several different growth capital firms. These are firms that loan your business money so that it can grow. And I met with a company called Spectrum Equity, and they started asking us to break down the different types of income that we had. And they were particularly interested in what was monthly recurring revenue and what was static or just one-time payment. And what was interesting about it, it really was an aha moment for us, is that they said that MRR is valued at 4 to 5 times whatever it is, and static or one-time revenue is valued at 1 time. So to think that the business unit that we were looking at that particular time for funding for was doing $600,000 a month, if it was recurring revenue, it was worth $36 million. If it was not recurring revenue, even though it's the same amount of money, it's worth $7.2 million. That was like, okay, well, that's something to think about. That's a $28 million difference just because of how we position the income, right? So that leads to the question, of course, is, well, what static income can we convert, income that we've already got, can we convert to monthly recurring revenue? And over the next year and a half, we turned $5.4 million of regular one-time revenue into recurring revenue, which changed the value from 5.4 to 27 million in that business, right? So how we did it was we started by taking all of our a la carte trainings, the things that we sold just one training for, and turned that into, and stopped selling those, right? Then we focused on growing the income that we had that was already monthly recurring, focused on growing that, right? And then last but not least, converting all of that non-monthly recurring revenue or that non-continuity revenue into monthly recurring revenue, right? So how can you do this? There's 5 ways. First is convert one-time payments to monthly recurring revenue. So John's got this awesome thing called Accelerator, which I paid full price for, which is a tragedy because I know John. And it's fantastic. And it's sold in one-time payments of $1,900, $2,997, or $2,497, which is fantastic. There is an opportunity there, though, depending on what you want to do with your company, to perhaps offer that as a SaaS, a software as a service, with monthly recurring revenue, which would get you a greater valuation and potentially help with funding or sale, okay? Just something to think about, an opportunity. Michael Perella does a really great job of this with I Love Kickboxing. He's got a one-time fee that comes in as a franchise fee, but then on the back of that, he sells marketing service as well. As a matter of fact, requires them as part of the deal, at least last time I talked with him, to do marketing services, which ensures their success, but also creates, in addition to the royalty and the co-op payments that you get in a franchise, a large amount of recurring revenue, monthly recurring revenue. The second way you can do this is to add monthly recurring revenue services. So Bedros did a really good job of this. Where's Bedros? Back there. So FitPro, right? FitPro magazine is an e-magazine that he offers to other fitness professionals, and it's a $1 trial and then $70 a month or $69 a month. So he's got recurring revenue there. Great example of that. 3, turning one-time sales into auto ship or box. So Randy has Vital Choice, which to me it's absolutely brilliant if you're selling a healthy product like seafood, to add on healthy supplements. That's super smart. I hadn't really seen anybody else do that. But you can see down at the bottom where I've put the little arrow, it's got an auto ship option. So that's monthly recurring revenue that he's able to create out of that. So Dave has Azure, which is a great business. I went through the checkout process with Azure, and I didn't see the opportunity to get on auto ship, so that might be an opportunity for you to create additional monthly recurring revenue, right? And these are simple things that you can add on. And the Marijuana Don did not show up today. I'm assuming that he's just stoned out of his mind somewhere. But what he does at Advanced Nutritional Nutrients is he sells, you can't buy online, he sells through authorized resellers. So what he could do though is he could go to those authorized resellers and say, you can buy a monthly, if you commit to a monthly amount, then I'll give you a discount or something like that, which increases monthly recurring revenue. And then number 4, memberships, associations, and buyer clubs. So in our business, one of our businesses, we have the American Gun Association, and we also have National Craft Society, American Beauty Association, all these associations and memberships, and we put them in base 2 or 3 of our marketing funnel. So as soon as we get somebody in, the next thing that we offer them is some ability to join us and be a part of our community for a monthly recurring revenue amount, okay? And then the 5th and final way would be to add certifications to trainings. So Digital Marketer, one of the companies that I own with a couple of partners, does this. We've really focused on adding certifications. And in addition to stopping this guy named Leo in China who sells all of our trainings for nothing when we offer them, the certification is something that gives us recurring revenue because people pay every year to continue to be certified. And Craig Ballantyne does this with the Turbulence Training certification, right? So fantastic ways to do it. The second thing, the 80, is turning expenses into profits, right? So this inspiration came from an insight from what Jeff Bezos did with Fulfillment by Amazon and Amazon Web Services, where he took expenses, infrastructure expenses of his company around IT tech and fulfillment, and turned them into profit centers, right? So the question is, how can we turn these things into profits? So we had a content team that does all the content for all of our 62 different websites in the Philippines, cost us $49,000 a month, right? Big expense. We decided to launch this at our last big event, Traffic and Conversion Summit, as a service doing content for other people because we had capacity. So we put up a page, Native Commerce Media, where we started offering content for $7,000 a month to other people. In the last 3 months since we launched this, it generated $125,000 in monthly recurring revenue, right? And the bonus is it's MRR, so that's increasing our valuation, which kind of shows how these things tie together, right? So that's $76,000 of extra profit a month that we wouldn't have had we not done this. How you can do this. So you can identify your biggest expenses and then ask how you can convert them to income and then launch products and services around them. And again, on the sheet, there are spaces for you to fill in the second section so that you can do that. So the third thing is BOB, which is bolt-on business, right? So this is an insight that came from Vern Harnish's relationship with Fortune. Vern partnered up with Fortune and is doing these growth summits and things like that. And think about how credible that is for Vern, and think about how good it is for Fortune if they're not doing events, to add events, which we found to be one of the most profitable parts of our business, to their offering mix, right? To their channel mix. So this is bolt-on business. And we've done this with Infusionsoft. Clayton and I were just talking about a Double Your Sales program that we did, which is generating leads for Infusionsoft, enough that we had to actually turn it off for a few months because it was generating too many leads. What's cool about this is that we share the leads and Infusionsoft pays us for the lead gen work, so we're getting the leads for free. We just did a deal like that with Microsoft. We're doing, in the middle of negotiating a deal with Entrepreneur where we'll do events for them, similar to the Vern Harnish and Fortune deal. And Big Block Realty, we're taking all of our content in DM Lab, which is our how to do stuff digital marketing wise, and adapting it to real estate agents and putting it in with an initial batch of 10,000 people at $40 a month that comes to us. So that's kind of cool, right? So that bolt-on business is great. This is what the Double Your Sales program looks like. And this is how you do this, right? So identify your superpowers first. Ask who already has the customers that you want right now, and then match your superpowers to their needs. And the easiest way to do that is to follow the handout that I gave you. It walks you straight through identify the superpowers, identify the targets, match them up, rank them from easiest to do to hardest to do, and then if there's any bridge, anybody, any connector, anybody like that that can connect you, then they will put you in touch with them, and it just makes it easier. So the last thing to think about is that all three of these things interact with one another. As you saw, we can create monthly recurring revenue and turn that into a bolt-on business. We can have a bolt-on business that becomes monthly recurring revenue. All of these things interact, and together they will multiply your revenue and your growth. So that's it. That's 5 different things that you can do, 3 different things you can do. 1 to 5x your company's value, 1 to save 80% or more on your expenses, and 1 to get 5 times or more your lead throw for free. Thank you very much.